Good evening, everybody. How you doing out there? Yes. Welcome on in to another installment of my podcast, which is called Medical Talk in Layman's Terms with Nurse Charlene. And the topic tonight is homelessness, a public health crisis. And the reason why I chose that is because I'm just seeing running into a lot of people. I do a lot of talking and communicating behind the scenes before I get on my podcast, trying to get my next inspiration. If somebody is not already sending me something, messaging me and sending me stuff to research and look up. But make no mistake, before I give you any information and stuff, I do need to research and make sure that I'm giving you good information, good food, for thought. And as you can see, I'm not going to stop drawing my little sketches on the board and my version of what homelessness, I had to think about it and stuff and what it looks like to me and everything. So y'all come on in, come on in. I love the interaction. I love the camaraderie of people getting on and speaking their truths, and everything and stuff. Definitely love to see you come on and stuff. And I thank you for taking a little time out of your busy schedules. Everybody got a busy schedule, including me and stuff, but to be able to get on down and talk about some things. And this is an interactive podcast, meaning that I look at the comments as I'm teaching and everything and educating you, and everything. So I do kind of dwell on that. Welcome on in, Miss Sandra. Thank you so much for joining faithfully and definitely that's a good thing. And I see Tahada Scarborough and stuff. Thank you for coming on in and joining and stuff. I appreciate it. And Josie, Auntie Josie coming on and stuff, come on in, ladies, and everything. We're talking the topic tonight on Medical Talk in Layman's Terms with Nurse Charlene is homelessness. It is a public health crisis. So this one is kind of near and dear to my heart because of the overwhelming homelessness. And it's not what it used to look like, a bum on the street and blah, blah, blah and stuff. And that's why they homeless, because they a bum. Yeah, they had to be something before they was a bum, and stuff like that. But, people don't always understand. They're misunderstood and you don't know what happened. What have they seen? What have their eyes seen? What have, what caused a mental break, and stuff? What caused them to lose it all? They were once a human being like you and me. And now that they're homeless, what happened? And stuff. It could have been anything, and everything, So as we get on in here and dive on in, feel free to, comment at any time. If I don't say anything right away and stuff, don't think I haven't seen your comment and everything. And always after the live, I will always answer anything I missed. I'm going back through, combing through all the comments and everything and stuff. I'm going to make sure that I paid attention and everything. Miss Josie, Auntie Josie said, hello, everyone. See, this is our little sister and brotherhood, and stuff. She's saying hello, and everybody is good at doing that and stuff, and it's much appreciated. It just shows that our togetherness as we fight through each topic, learning more and more. And then the response I get tonight will tell me if I need to keep on going here or pivot somewhere else, and everything. When I get this, maybe I'll do homeless and drugs, and stuff. I really want to get to a fentanyl crisis, but I wanted a guest to come on so that we can talk about that because this fentanyl crisis is cold blooded. Oh my goodness. So now that I've given you a little something to, that I was thinking on my mind, welcome on in, Rosetta, Granny Allen, and Auntie Sandra says, good evening, Nurse Charlene and Rosie. T said hello as well. Tell T we said hello and welcome on in. If she can get on and stuff, that would be great. If she can, she can always watch the replay, but I would appreciate her getting on and stuff, you know. And if she has something to say, I'm listening. Okay. So I'm going to do my podcast disclaimer and then I'm going to get on in. I'm going to dig on in. Okay. So it goes as follows. The podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It's not intended to replace professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult with your physician for any medical concerns. Okay. If you have questions about a medical condition, reach out to a qualified healthcare professional. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking it because of something you heard on a podcast. I stopped saying on this podcast. I'm saying on a podcast. Never delay. You go to the source that you have available. We don't know where the people come from. You don't even know where I come from. Well, some people do and everything, and I'll talk about that. Guest views are their own and may not reflect the views of the host, that's me, or this podcast. Okay. And the information shared is for general knowledge, but good knowledge. And it should not be used for any legal or medical purposes. Okay, I gotta say it. And so I can't help you with your lawsuit. But if you're doing it in good faith, I hope you win. And then give me a couple of no, I'm just playing. But anyway, I hope you win. Okay. I'm not a hater. And always consult with a licensed professional who knows your medical history for a meaningful evaluation. Guys, stay informed, but always seek professional advice when it comes to your health. Meaning somebody that you know, not somebody that you've seen on this show or this podcast or that podcast and stuff. If you don't know them at all, like you can look me up, but most of the people that come on, they're getting to know me and everything and stuff. So I want to say, when I say reach out to a healthcare professional and everything, I am a healthcare professional. I'm a licensed nurse and I've been one for 21 years as of September 2nd, 2025. So do I know a little bit of medical stuff? Probably a little bit, you know, and stuff. But what I'm saying is I am a medical professional, but I can't be everybody's medical professional, you know, and everything. So that's the only difference. But I will definitely acknowledge you, you know, and definitely will let you know what I know and everything. I want to take this off of it's kind of big, but it's not letting me see all the comments and everything. So I seen Auntie Josie said hello everyone from Auntie Josie, and Sandra said good evening nurse Charlene and Rosie. T said hello as well. Hello T, just making sure. And then I think I see Tahada and Scarborough. She said, I am here. All right. That must be T. All right. Welcome in, T. I see you. I see you, lady. And then I see welcome on in, Miss Maria, cousin Maria. That's my little sweetheart. She don't know it yet, I guess. No, I'm just playing. She said, hey, family, back to business. That's right. We got to keep on marching forward or we'll fall for everything. And Rosie Granny Allen, please the Lord. Oh, you said please the Lord, Rosie. Praise the Lord, everyone. I love it. I love it. Praise the Lord, everyone. So that begin. Let's get it in. That's right. That's right. I love you, mommy. Rosetta Granny Allen is my mommy. She gave birth to the nurse. All right. That's giving y'all some good stuff. All right. So tonight on Medical Talk in Layman's Terms with Nurse Charlene, the topic is homelessness. And I put added to that, it's a public health crisis. We are in crisis right now, and it's serious and it's happening every day. And if you've never heard of eviction or ever heard of 1 foot in the door and 1 foot in the car, and stuff like that, then, you know, that's a blessing for you and stuff. But have I ever heard of eviction or even been a part of something like that? Yeah, I'm a nurse, but that don't have nothing to do with it and stuff. Have I heard of it? Have I been a part of one, and stuff? Me, not personally, but growing up, I'm just saying life is life and stuff. So that's as transparent as I'm going to be on it and stuff. Just know that this hits home. And it's very important that we just understand it. Uh, Rosie Granny Ellis said, I love you too. That's right. That's right. I love my mommy and stuff. So, definition of homelessness. Homelessness is a critical public health issue where individuals lack stable, adequate places to live, often forced by economic hardships, housing affordability crisis, and systemic barriers and stuff. So after that definition, I want to just pivot to my board behind me, and I like to zoom in on it and stuff. So just a second. So the board behind me and stuff, because I work so hard at it and stuff, believe it or not, I'm trying to learn how to draw and stuff. It get a little rough sometimes and stuff. I'll draw a stick figure if I don't know what I'm doing and everything. Welcome on in, Robert. That's my brother. Yes, he says, hello, Charlene. Just got out of the just got out of the hospital. I'm in now, and I'm in skilled nursing. Oh no, Robert. Oh, we gotta talk and stuff. I'm gonna call the little lady and everything and stuff. We definitely need to talk and stuff. Thanks for telling me, Robert, and stuff. I'm gonna check on you, okay? That's a dear friend of mine and stuff, and my brother in arms, and stuff. And yeah, we got to get the good guy up and running. Yeah, so I'm gonna work on that as soon as possible. But thanks for coming on and stuff. I appreciate you and everything. So I'm going to the board and everything, and it's a whole bunch of stuff, but I put things surrounding homelessness, like the normal thing. That's a home. That's what we all want to have. It probably don't look that cute, but anyway, that's a home and everything. And then that's a tent. I try to make a nice one, and stuff like that. I try to remember from camping, but that's a tent. Hey, that's a shelter slash, I'm going to make that the methadone clinic also. Right here, shelter. So those are 3 sources of, homeless or homelessness, home or homelessness, or home to homelessness. And everything over here is I put a car or somebody's home, because that's what's starting to, it ain't starting to happen. It's been happening for years. But, what happens when you don't even have a car? So you get kicked out of your home and you were on the bus already, and then you don't even have a car. So you can't even go live in the car or the van or, whatever you have and stuff. And then this is the soup kitchen. Don't sleep on them. They got some of the best food made out there. My family members, plenty of family members that have been cooked and stuff for these soup kitchens and these shelters, men's shelters, women's shelters, and all of that stuff. So that's very important. That's why I said it hits closer to home, close to home. Also on there, I called myself making the street. You see how I had the little broken lines and stuff, because I was trying to just show you the shopping cart on the street, a little doggy on the street and stuff, because the dogs, when the people get homeless, the dog get homeless too. Or they tote the dog around. The dog like drop me off at the dog kennel or something like that. But they tote the little dog around. They be cold and stuff. They be hungry, just like anything else. So actually, an animal can be homeless too. We know that from feral cats, and stuff like that. After a while, when they get kicked out and they got to be on their own, they're considered homeless and everything and stuff. Oh, so Rosie Granny Allen is watching. Welcome on in, Miss Sonia. That's my sister. She said, praying for you, Robert. Thank you. You listening, Robert, and stuff? Sonia says she praying for you. Yes. And then it looks like Rosie Granny Allen is watching. Just making sure that I put that there. So going back to the board and stuff, these are some things that you know what, I want to be transparent. So this is some stuff that I'm kind of dealing with now, just looking at the fact that if I want to relocate or move and stuff like that, some of the stuff that I gotta deal with, and stuff like low credit scores. You need 3 times the rent. And when I say low credit scores versus a high credit score, and stuff, I looked at a couple places, and I'm talking about these places is roughnecks, and stuff like that. And they want you to have, 3 times the rent. So that's meaning that you need to make, on average, maybe about, I'm just saying, for example, you need to make about, maybe $10,000, $11,000 a month, because they want 3 times the rent. And then you got to turn around and have a credit score of above 650 to 7. I bought my house, my first house. I bought it, and I had a credit score of 650, 690, and maybe 700 or something like that. And I bought a house on my own, and everything. So I'm like, okay, this is to rent somebody else's house. And I wondered, what if the roles was reversed? Like if they want this much stuff, and I think some of it is property management places, because that's where you get a disservice and stuff. When you're dealing with a property management place, they put almost unrealistic goals that they want you to have. Like they want you to have the perfect hair color. They want you to have the perfect jeans. They want you to have the perfect eyes, nose, face, and everything. They want you to have the perfect car and everything. But then they don't be perfect when you actually move into these places and something break down on you. So my thing is, this is somebody that's housed, me and stuff. So if you want 3 times the rent, let's say 11,000, I'm just throwing that out there, $11,000, $12,000 a month, to pay for rent. That comes with, other utilities and everything like PG&E. How many of y'all got a low PG&E bill? Oh, no, nobody? Nobody has a low PG&E bill? Oh, so it's like a couple $100. And you had to mess around and find out when it showed up in your mailbox or on your app or whatever. Okay, so I'm saying that. Then you got you a water bill. And even though you probably like to take baths and wash dishes and wash clothes and stuff at your house that you're paying $9 million a month for, because you got to make 3 times the rent in order to get it, and all of this stuff. I'm saying all this to say that for less, I bought my own house. Now, who is realistically setting these guidelines to make 3 times the rent? Because that if you qualify for 3 times the rent, you got a 700 or above credit score. You're close to perfect. Why would you rent their house instead of buying your own? First of all, because is something wrong with me, or is something wrong with this system? Because it's ridiculous. Now I think I'm gonna start stirring people up, and I'm ready. I'm ready for you and everything. So I'm gonna go to Miss Josie, who said that she pay a really high PG&E bill. I'm assuming that's what that was when she said I do. And then Rosie Granny Allen said homelessness hurts your mental state of mind. It absolutely touches your mental state of mind. Then cousin Maria said, with this economy and the inflation of goods, it's so hard to keep afloat, and mental health is a big okay, but anyway, is a big issue, which sometimes leads to drug addiction. Is y'all gonna try to tell my whole story? I'm trying to teach this. She said, which sometimes leads to drug abuse, and it's so sad. You're absolutely right, because you just said my podcast, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it anyway and stuff. But thank you so much, Miss Maria. And then Auntie Josie said, real talk, it is best to have your own. You're right. Or get with a couple like-minded people and let's get our own place. Let's get some duplexes going so that you can rent it out, to other people that is going to pay their rent and pay their bills and stuff like that. And then that's your way of giving back to your family, and stuff. Mama, we made it, and everything. Maria said, if you qualify for 3 times the rent, you gotta be a doctor, a nurse, a scientist, an engineer. You're absolutely right. And then Rosie, come on.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. And then Miss Kiki said, what does it? Okay, let me just put it on there. Cluster stars to keep you inspired. Oh, thank you. And then also, Auntie Josie said, no low PG&E is high, and and you have solar panels, and it's knocking the solar panels. They trying to get us to put solar panels on our places, and they found a way to take advantage of that. And then the solar panels take care of electricity. What takes care of the gas? And then you got these little places, for $29 a month, we'll take care of your gas bill for you. And then I found out, I started looking at my bill and actually read it. And I seen it's $29 a month. And then they found a way to circumvent that PG&E and make it $29 a month plus a gas delivery charge of $100 and something. So I'm paying $100 and some plus $29 a month for gas, for them to so-called help me discount it. Plus I got electricity because I don't even have solar panels and stuff. Plus, yeah, that's not cute. And then guess what? They give you help. They give you these reach programs and LEIE or whatever that is and stuff. They pay it one time a year. What about the other times they charge you $400, and $400 all the way up to that time when they pay it one time a year? Yeah, that's not really helping you. It's not. And everything. I would advise everybody to go to their doctor and tell them. Okay. But anyway, I'll put it in the comments and everything. So moving on. I'm just going to go ahead, and you guys are so good. I love it. Absolutely love it. Lack of affordable housing, the number one driver of homelessness. Rent prices rising faster than wages. Many cities face severe shortages of affordable units. That means units that aren't $3,000 a month, and you got somebody on the top jumping and shouting and WWF and on the top. And then you got somebody on the bottom talking about your feet stumping too hard and they hitting. Yeah, you ain't even got a chance. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Over 7 million extremely low income households pay more than 50% of their income on rent. More than 50%. So where do we pay this high PG&E bill? Where do we pay if we have a house and they have to pay water and garbage? When do we pay that? And with what? I mean, if you got a good job and, you some type of nurse or something, and stuff, yeah, I'm still looking at it. You know what I did? I pay a garbage bill. I resorted to getting in there with a step stool and stumping on my garbage. I got to save some money. You can't have all my money. Why you get to have it? Yeah. Okay. But you see what I'm saying? And we haven't even got to homelessness yet. We're scratching the surface of the house that could lead to homelessness. You know what I'm saying? So we're talking about just us, and stuff like that. And then there's a homeless population. I mean, there's mother with their kids out there in the streets and stuff. There's, fathers with their kids out there in the streets, single fathers, single mothers, and different things like that. There's fathers, substance abuse and then walking away from their whole family, and then the whole family go downhill. And then that's when, the kids mess around and find out, and they learn at an early age, and then they're all messed up, because their mental health and everything is just so much. But they also got poverty and economic instability. Low wages, job loss, and unstable work can quickly lead to eviction, losing your job. So when you quick to say, you know what, she dropped my fries on the floor and tried to pick them up or something like that, because they probably told her to do that, or something like that, or told him to do that and stuff. And, they don't want to lose their job. So they rather take whatever they're going to get from you, they take that hit from you because they need that job. And then when you say, I'm complaining, I want them to go to jail and I want them to get fired. Then they get fired and then they lose it all. They was already working 14, 15 hours a day, or whatever they could get. No overtime, just straight pay, and stuff. They tired. They can't take care of the kids. The kids is dependent on them to bring home the food from the job or something like that, the leftovers or something to feed to their kids because they can't even afford food because they're just trying to stay housed. So you see how easy it is that once they lose that job, they lose it all. And everything, and unexpected expenses like medical bills. Somebody then got sick, and now we got to mess around and find out how to navigate this, how to get this medicine, how to get that medicine, how to get this special diet going so that they can be a little bit more healthier, because you can't afford healthy food in the first place. And then when you a sudden medical thing happen and stuff like that, then you got to buy maybe special drinks and special dietary supplements and stuff like that, and trying to budget that in. If you even budget, some people don't even have enough to budget. All they know is I got to pay my rent. I got to pay this. I got to pay that. I got to pay this. It ain't about me. You got to wash your clothes. You got to actually take a bath and be clean. You got to actually buy soap to take the bath. You got to actually have tissue to use the bathroom in your home that you paying all your. Okay. Am I passionate? Yes. People living paycheck to paycheck have no financial buffer. You ain't got no stash. You literally, it's a Bible term and stuff, but it's robbing Peter to pay Paul, if that makes any sense to anybody and stuff. You have no little cookie jar with a little bit of money in it, and stuff. It's crazy. Auntie Josie said rent is so high, our kids can't afford their own place. Yeah, they got to stay with you forever. 30 and 40 years old and stuff, and they still with you unless they got the wherewithal to try to get out there and maybe probably get with somebody so that they can do it together and collaborate or something like that. And then both of them got to work, so they don't even know each other because they're working 10, 15 hours a piece to pay for one little apartment, and they're not even satisfied with each other no more because all their money that they get, they can't even go on a date or something like that because all their money is going to the house and stuff. That's why you got to be a serial entrepreneur and stuff. You gotta get the money. How you gonna get the money? We gotta get money. We got to. Yeah. And then what if you lose it all? What if you lose your mind? Then how is that gonna help everybody else, and everything? Welcome on in, Miss Kathy. Good to hear from you. The topic tonight is homelessness, a public health crisis. Yes. And stuff. So just all those things and stuff is so powerful. This subject is really, touching a certain place in my heart and stuff, just because we're talking about the house people having all this trouble. What about the unhoused? And why they out there so long? Why they just still doing it? They had plenty of time to get themselves. I think it's a choice that they made. That ain't no choice. Yeah, they had no choices. That's why they out there. You think we choose to wake up and in our nice beds, comfy homes, and all of this stuff, and then we get, life's on us, and then it's God give it, God take it away, and stuff, and it's on the take it away part, and then you got to figure out how to manage, because homelessness ain't no joke. It's dangers hidden and out front, dangers and stuff. Them shelters ain't just, got no nice stuff and everything. You got to worry about, you getting raped, your kids getting raped or something like that. It's so much stuff, involved in that and everything, and different things, like, especially if you're in a mixed shelter, you just trying to get a bed for the kids and stuff like that. And they better sleep with their shoes on, because somebody might steal their shoes while they sleep at night. And oh my goodness. Wow. But as I digress, unemployment or underemployment, that means below employment, and stuff, like you really not making, you just not employed enough and have enough money coming in to, I'll tell you, lack of stable jobs, especially in the areas hit by the economic downturn. We ain't got no Big Lots. We ain't got no 99-cent store. We barely got the Dollar Tree, and the Dollar Tree is like $5, $10 tree and stuff like that. Walmart is, ripping us off, and stuff, but they got everything in there and stuff, but they still ripping us off. Everybody think the truth, that have a house and everything, think the truth is Costco. Costco ripping us off too. Have you really did the math? Have you looked at what they got and what's in the store? You be better off with a coupon. I'm a couponer. I got all them apps, Safeway app, Lucky's app, the Walgreens app. I'm trying to get everybody, and stuff involved in this, and it's crazy. It's crazy. Thank you, Kiki. I see that light bulb moment. Oh, she sent me 20 stars, y'all. I don't know what that means all the way yet, but it's a good thing and stuff. Y'all send me some stars like she did. Thank you, Kiki. That's my girl. That's my girl. And stuff. But I'm saying all of this to say, when I say underemployment, I'll tell you what that means: the lack of stable jobs and everything, but also the gig or the part-time workers. They might not even earn enough to afford housing. So guess what, mothers and fathers, they got to stay with you. Put them in a job at your job or something, or at your business or something, because they can't afford this. It's only a fortunate few that got the memo, and stuff, that understood the assignment, but it's few and far too many. So you're going to be taking care of that kid. I hope you love them a lot. You're going to be seeing them. They're going to be growing up in your house and stuff. Yes. Welcome on in. My dad came on. Raymond Buckner. Yes. Welcome on in, Dad. And everything. Mental health. Mental illness. Remember this, Maria. Mental illness and lack of mental health services. Around 20 to 25% of homeless adults live with serious mental illnesses. That's why you see them talking to themselves. They not talking to themselves. They talking to something. You just can't see it, and they can't see it either. But they in their own zone. You don't know where they at. They on the moon, and stuff like that. but they're in their mental manic phases and stuff. And we'll talk about that on my segment when I go back into the mental health segments and everything. But yes, definitely, there's a lot of them where you see them talking to themselves, but they're not talking to themselves. They don't choose to do that. That's a defense mechanism. I was told by a homeless person that turned, that got housed and everything and stuff. I was told that the reason why they, like pee and poop on themselves and stuff like that, that's a defense mechanism. Ain't nobody gonna rape somebody if they got dookie all on them, and it's all in their pants or stuff like that. So could you imagine that, and stuff like that? They have to do that and walk around disgusting and everything and stuff because they can, fear being a victim of something. And it's rape, it's getting killed, it's getting kidnapped, it's all types of stuff. And then people look down on you and stuff. Sonia said it's much higher in low income areas. Absolutely much higher in low income areas. It's say 20 to 25, and that's around a poll around the United States and stuff. But you're absolutely right. It's much higher in the lower income areas and stuff where it's rich people living in the houses, and then the poor people is making tents right outside these rich people house. So they have to run through the dirt and grime and get into their house. And they're in there in a nice little mansion. It might look bad on the outside, but it's beautiful on the inside and stuff for that person. But they on the outside, peeing and pooping on themselves, throwing up on themselves, substance abuse and all of this stuff. And then the other reason for mental illness and lack of mental health services is limited access to affordable mental health care. And, or they can't get to it, or they don't even have a mind to be able to do it. So there's places that go out there and do that. And Sonia, good point and stuff, said they are detached from reality. Like they're not even of our world. After a while, they're gone. That's why I said they might as well be on the moon and we here on Earth, and stuff like that. They didn't already shot up to the moon, but they still here walking around physically. It's a body, it's a zombie and everything. Kiki said, I appreciate you. I didn't know I'm your first star. Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Kiki. Yes. But yes, Sonia, that was good. They are detached from reality and everything and stuff. So I can't wait to get together with you and you could be the guest speaker on fentanyl crisis, because you see that every day when you go to work. So it would be nice to get it from a perspective of somebody that lives it with them, and sees it, a person close and personal and everything. But yes, substance use disorders. So this is a part of so now you're homeless, or so now you're homeless because you did one of these things, and stuff like that. And that is addiction can lead to job loss, family breakdown, and eviction. So just addiction alone. But the substance use disorders they're talking about is methamphetamines, opioids, marijuana, nicotine, and alcohol. These are all substances that can be abused, and they are disorders and everything. So it's definitely has something to do with that, but that's some of the reasons. So it's not just one particular thing, or only fentanyl, or only heroin, or something like that. It's all of them mixed together and stuff, especially when you're using it to cope because you're not effectively, or you're not properly coping. We all do it. We sometimes even put down this gun for this knife, and stuff, which means I put down this drug for a shopping addiction now that I have, or something like that and stuff. So these all run together and stuff as ways, mental health wise and other, to help us cope. Sonia said, all, let me see what it says. Also, everyone pushes medicine and people want other options. Yes, we were just talking about that. they want to put you on a pill. If you homeless, I give me the pill of a home. Let my pill be a home, and stuff like that. I don't want to get on your medicine. I want to get in a home first with 4 walls and it's warm, and I don't have to worry about suffering or somebody beat me up or stabbing me in my sleep or something like that because I'm sleeping in the alleyway or something, or a rat coming up and biting me or something like that. Also, the crack cocaine, just like COVID is not over, crack cocaine is not over. So it's not just meth, amphetamines. It's not just the opioids like popping pills, fentanyl, and all of that stuff, but it's also crack cocaine, good old fashioned crack that's always been out. It's staying. It's staying as long as it's a human being. Now we got drug addicts in their we got drug addicts in their 60, 70, 80 years old and stuff, still smoking crack, and stuff like that. That's how bad that is. It ain't going nowhere. But we could do something about it. So we're gonna talk about that and everything. Welcome on in, Brittany. What you say? You know what, baby? I'm a but anyway, I love her. That's you my baby and stuff. You better cut it out though and stuff. But yes, what is it? Some people develop substance use disorders after becoming. That means you weren't on it before, but after you had that mental break and now you're homeless and everything and stuff, then you get on the drink or get on the drugs or start drinking in excess, and stuff like that. And those things come along. But guess what? We're nobody addressed? Domestic violence. Oh my God. So with domestic violence, it's a leading cause of homelessness among women and children, meaning that woman ain't choosing to have her and her little kids outside, in these streets and stuff, or at these shelters, and stuff like that. She's choosing it because she was gonna die. The kids was watching her get beat up, and stuff like that. Same thing with men. It's not just a domestic violence of a man beating on a woman, but also a woman maybe beating on a man. The man got to take the kids and run, and stuff sometimes, So we can't just say it's one way. It's one way. It's co-ed, meaning a man can get it or a woman can get it, and stuff like that. Or a woman can do it and just as well as a man can do it. So yes, Maria said yes, exactly. It's either or, it's equal opportunity and stuff. Yes, thank you for the hearts. I see them and stuff. And then survivors often flee abusive households with little money and support, meaning the clothes on their back, not even a change of underwear, and stuff like that. And the kids might have just the clothes on their back, and then they go into school and they all disheveled and maybe stinking and stuff like that. And instead of putting them down and stuff, these kids are starting to see, yeah, they're not like me, and stuff like that. I got Jordans and everything. They got whatever, some flip-flops on or something, if they could get away with it. And then, you putting them down and stuff, but you don't know where they came from. They was watching their mother get beat. They was watching their father get abused, and stuff like that and stuff. So before judging, we got to teach our kids not to judge people and stuff, because this is happening. This is real life action happening and everything. Another thing is family conflict and breakdown. Youth homelessness is often tied to parental conflict, abuse, or rejection because of what? The LGBTQ youth, meaning, mom doesn't accept my lifestyle. Dad doesn't accept my lifestyle. They told me to get out if I want to be that way, if I want to be a lesbian, or get out if I want to be a homosexual, of some sort and stuff. Get out if I want to be a transgender, and stuff. Sometimes the biggest abuser is your own family, unfortunately, because usually it's lack of understanding, lack of, trying to figure it out and everything. Brittany said, can't wait. Good job, Mom. Love you. Love your podcast. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you. I love you too, Britt, and stuff. Yes. So, adults may become homeless after divorce, loss of partner, or family disputes, and stuff. It could be a family dispute, and then you guys are torn apart that way. And this is sometimes adults, married adults, or they lose their spouse, and stuff, man or woman, the woman becomes widow, or the man is a widowed man, or I don't know what they call a man that's loses his wife or something like that, but yeah, I don't know what that's called. It ain't a bachelor. It's something, but I get it and stuff. So those things, or family disputes and stuff, and they may become homeless. I'm just gonna run away from all of this. I can't take it no more, and everything. Rosie Granny Allen said, "Teach, teach, teach, nurse. Teach, my, Jesus." Well, amen to that, mama, and stuff. Also, don't sleep on this. Elderly. Yeah, we forgetting about them. Miss Mabel or Medea, they got their little pension, from their husband passing, or the wife passing and stuff, and the husband is lonely and stuff like that. But also being on a fixed income. This is the elderly, our little 65 and above and stuff, senior citizens and stuff. They're on a fixed income, usually only SSI, and that only give you so much than when you were working and stuff like that. Rising housing costs, chronic illness, like their body is giving out on them. They're older, and if they hadn't been able to take care of themselves all of the time when they was a youth, it's just you're now a broken down older person, more mature person, and everything. Maria said loss of income. That's the biggest one, loss of income and stuff. That's the worst one, loss of income. That's why you gotta try to, but I didn't say it's gonna be perfect and stuff like that, but always be looking at the future. Always look at the end game, and stuff. If this happens to me, do I have anything else that I can fall on? Do I have anybody else I can depend on, and stuff like that? You got to get that out there and everything. So then another reason for homelessness, communities of color and marginalized groups. That's higher rates due to systemic inequalities. The poor people, the poor get poorer and the rich get richer. And then the middle class, we get schizophrenic because we don't know which way, who to identify with. And stuff. We closer to the poor than we are to the rich because they get super rich and then they can't even understand us anymore. They don't even know how to understand people like us that work for them. You know what I'm saying? They're the CEOs. But make no mistake, you see that under Nurse Charlene, it says CEO of your body's a snitch, believe it. I'm not playing. I'm not. I can't even afford to play. Because one step in or one step out, and stuff. Life's on anybody. It don't matter if you got a job or you got this career and stuff like that. It doesn't matter. Life and on everybody, not just somebody or these poor people or those marginalized people and stuff. It's life and on all of us. We all had to find out sooner than later and everything. So then you got health problems and high medical costs. That's the serious illness or injury that can cause a job loss. Like, illness or some or injury, having a baby, giving birth, and you working 25,000 hours a day all the way until the one of the foot is hanging out your down there, you ready to deliver at the job, and then they like, could you come back in 15 minutes? Go ahead and deliver it in the bathroom. We got you. That's how bad it is. And you almost want to do it because you know that I might be in a whole bunch of trouble because once I sit in this hospital, like, don't keep me more than 3 days or whatever and stuff. Kick me out in 24 hours. Then you go home and go through medical stuff like rigors, where you hot and cold and all of that stuff. You got to go through all of that stuff, because you didn't left the hospital too early and you a hot mess and everything, probably infected or something like that, because you're trying to get back to the job. And that baby need extra help. So what do? They up all night with the baby? Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna leave it alone. I am so emotional. This one, I didn't know it was gonna touch me like that. Oh my God. And stuff. But lack of health insurance increases the risk. I'll wait till the last minute because Highland might be able to deliver my baby because I ain't got no insurance. They cut off Obamacare. They cut off everything. Whew. Poor health. Meaning I can't afford Sprouts, and I can't afford all these healthy Berkeley Bowl, or I can't afford, Maria, to be vegan and all of that stuff, because all that stuff calls for every different kind of lettuce and every chickpea and all of that stuff. That stuff started adding up and everything. And then I only get organic bananas. Do you know them things turn brown just like it? They probably turn brown faster, and stuff. But frankly, I'll just take my genetically modified ones. But that's crazy and stuff. Oh, Sandra, she said, families need to start moving into a house together to survive. Exactly, and stuff, if they don't kill each other. But yeah, they do need to start doing that. That's why I said I brought up at least instead of even moving in over one person that's in the know, getting that duplex, getting that fourplex and stuff. That's 4 2-bedrooms and stuff, and then moving people in like that so that you have your own household and everything, and doing it that way and stuff, and moving in together and stuff. That might be a better fit, and stuff. That one person that can get it done, and stuff like that, and get that that multiples thing. It's not just for the people that got an apartment that you've been renting from all your life. You can get it too. That's why I said you get that credit score up and stuff. But it's really hard for us to get that credit score up to 9 million, 950 or something like that. And because my son actually hit me onto that the new credit score is not your 700. 700 is still poor credit. It's 850 and above, 950 and stuff like that. They want your blood. They want your DNA, your firstborn child, and stuff. They want everything. And if I'm that perfect, why am I gonna rent your place? If you're asking, you got to have a 700 credit score. Can I interview you too? Let me see, what is your credit score? Why you renting your place out? Why you renting your house out? Oh, because your credit score is low. And you lost your job and you don't even have 3 times the rent that you're asking somebody else to have and everything. Because, it's not renting. They'll figure it out. And stuff. But I'm saying all of that to say that it's almost like do unto others, judge and ye shall be judged and stuff like that. When you're asking unrealistic things and stuff, but you're not providing realistic stuff, like being a real, landlord, like not fixing things inside the house, letting mold spread, not taking care of the house, but you taking care of cashing that check, for their place, and stuff like that. And then you wanted 9 million. If I move into somewhere and I qualify and have 3 times the rent and all of that, and they perfect little credit scores and all of that stuff, guess what? They got to be perfect too. We both gonna be perfect. If I sneeze and I call you, you better be there with some tissue. Now you gonna cater to me. You got the perfect one in, right? So watch what you ask for. If you need me to be perfect, you gonna have to be perfect too. We got to be a whole mirror. And I'm saying that because this, like I said, What's the opposite of having a home and paying 3 times the rent and all of this and all your utilities and all your PG&E and water and garbage and cell phones and car insurance and car notes and all of this stuff? Where's your money? How much you need to have? Because even a person that wins the lottery is not even rich, because everybody's in that money. They will be tortured, literally tortured. I didn't heard of people going out their mind. They get the lottery and stuff, and then they go out their mind. And then, most people that didn't hit the lottery, they hit it for so little that money is gone in a year. That money is gone in 6 months, and stuff, because they don't know what to do with that and stuff. So it's that crazy and stuff. So then another reason for homelessness: discharge from systems without support, veterans, foster care youth. You're 18, get out. I ain't getting no more checks for you. Get out. Where they supposed to go? They ain't got nothing. Okay. And stuff. Or people living in prison or jail. Where do they go? When you get out of prison, you got to go somewhere. They got these halfway homes, but they're only temporarily, and until you find something. And then there's that scrutiny. It ain't 3 times the rent, but have you ever been convicted of a crime or something? Okay, yeah, I got to check that. And then you automatically deny, and stuff. So what do? Be homeless or get them, get them, if it's a woman and, getting out of prison, getting them a man that can take care of them. If it's a man getting out of prison, they want that woman to take care of them. And then when they don't, or it's not what it chop up to be when they get out of prison and stuff like that, guess what? They ready to kill them, slice their neck, and I'm going back. It was easier in jail than it is out here, and stuff like that. I thought she loved me. I thought he loved me, and stuff. I'm just saying, these are realities. And I'm talking on straight reality and stuff. This is crazy and everything. But that's one of them. The foster care for the youth. People leaving prison may lack housing plans. And without transition programs, many end up homeless. And there's some categories of homelessness that I want to make sure that I said, and that is, one is called unsheltered homelessness, and that's living on the streets, parks, and inside your vehicle. Then there's one called sheltered homelessness, living in emergency shelters or transitional housing, or SRO, single room occupancy and everything. Miss Josie, my auntie, said, I still have my foster son, but it is not good to put them out because they don't have nowhere to go. You're absolutely right, but most of them, unlike you and stuff, is too few of you that will keep them after the time is up, and and it's time for them to get out on their own because you care. That's the difference. These people don't care. They're getting a check. It's a job. Now they need you to get out so that they can get another check in. It's not a human in, it's another check and stuff. So that's where that comes in at and stuff. That's how bad it is, and everything. So there's also another category of hidden homelessness. This is couch surfing or staying in unsafe temporary places. And that is definitely a public health crisis. Is a situation where the health and well-being of a population are at significant risk, requiring a systemic response. That means we got to address this. We got to address having a place for them to transition once they're 18 and it's time to get kicked out of the foster care system. Where do they go? They've been fostered all this time. And then, most of the time abused in foster care. So they come out already angry and misguided and mental health problems and all of that stuff. And then the person is kicking them out and, and everything. And it's bad. And then there's risk to your health, physical risk, is exposure to the weather, heat stroke, or frostbite and stuff. There's infectious diseases like being in a shelter and stuff, tuberculosis, hepatitis, COVID-19. Where they gonna go? They gonna cough right inside that shelter with that woman and her kids, or that man with his kids and stuff like that. They right in there in the next bed, and stuff like that. Malnutrition or untreated chronic conditions like gangrene, they're diabetic and stuff, but they can't even afford to go to a doctor to find out that they're diabetic or got high blood pressure. So they just die right out there on the street. They take their last hit, but not just hits, and stuff. They take their last drink or whatever, and they just die. And they sleep right on the street, and stuff. It's bad. And Maria said that's why a lot of young girls and homosexual boys are leaving foster care, and they end up prostituting. I know you leave there and go into a more dangerous situation. Like, it doesn't help them, but when they are able to be prostituted and get some money because they're desperate for money, something that they don't get. They so poor, and stuff like that, and hardly get nothing. And you said they're not teaching enough life skills and giving resources so that they can hear. This is Maria, so that they can have a sufficient life outside of foster care. Yet they're just going out there and it's sink or swim, and most of them sink, and they sink for a long time, and then they become a career homeless person, talking to themselves. They then went through all stages of homelessness. Irritation, scare, frostbite, exposure, TB, AIDS, HIV, raped, stabbed, mutilated, and all types of stuff, because especially these homosexual boys and transgenders and stuff like that. Josie said they do get a check until the kids get to 21, which is good, but people put them out after their 21st. Oh, they still get a check and they just take it. You could stay here, but you're going to give me your money and stuff. And if you take all of it, what do they got saved up? And stuff. So 18 to 21 is nothing. 18, what is that? 19, 20, 21, 3 years after. Yeah, it's not enough. And then if they taking all the money and stuff, then they ain't even got nothing saved up to even almost by accident, be able to, do that. So that's where Maria was talking about the prostitution and but desperate for money just to have a wait, I'm sorry, okay, desperate for money just to have a living situation, just to get a room that night. Exactly, because they might be able to prostitute and get them a little dirty little motel room or something like that and stuff, just to have something instead of nothing and stuff. And a lot of people have these mental breaks and everything. And I said malnutrition and conditions and stuff like malnutrition means away from good nutrition, not good nutrition. It's bad nutrition and stuff. And that's because they're eating what they can. They're eating out of garbage cans, running the risk of getting all types of communicable diseases and stuff. People throwing their stuff out and throwing away half full coffees or something like that. They're drinking that with the bugs and the rats and everything else that's up in there, sipping on everything and eating on and chewing on the paper. They fight the rat for some food. It's like, it's bad. And then there's the increased risk of injury and of violence. That's the rape, that's the stabbing, that's the mutilation, that's the attacks on them and stuff. And different people with mental health, like your depression, your PTSD, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder. It's a high level of that because life is lifing on them, and they haven't caught up. They haven't been taught, like Maria said, they haven't been schooled on this, so they have no life skills. Could you imagine that? What are they supposed to do? They're like savages being thrown in the woods. They got to try to survive. They become, distant. Like Sonia said, detached from reality and all of that stuff. It's all of that and everything. Spiritually, a lot of people, the bad part about that is they don't even want to seek church in a spiritual way and different things and stuff, because they got a loss of dignity, loss of self-worth, disconnection from community and family and faith systems, feeling isolated and hopeless and despair. That's why I had the chance to work with a young lady that gets out on and does homeless outreach and stuff, and she goes to a certain area, and they look forward to this woman coming out once a month and feeding them hot food and stuff, and the looks that she was getting and stuff, I was just like, wow, it just blew my mind that she was going out here time after time, every third Sunday of the month and stuff, going out and feeding the homeless. And these people were coming up, and I was watching their faces because I'm a nurse, so I'm a reader, so I'm looking at them and stuff, and they're very distrustful. You giving all this stuff for free, you giving clothes out for free, you giving toiletry items, toothbrushes, sanitary items, and deodorant and all of this stuff, and hot food that you made, or had somebody labor over the pots and stuff like that, and giving this stuff out for free. And the homeless will steal things from you, and you're giving everything for free, but don't take the pot. I need to put more food in it the next time I come out, and stuff. Like, don't take my car. I need to pack all this stuff up. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying all of that to say that because they can't trust, it's too good to be true, and everything. And Maria said, and this leads to dealing with all types of demons. That's why mental health comes in even before the anger. And then and it leads to the anger and stuff, but it's because of all the pain and suffering. What do they do? What can we do? I wouldn't even know what to do if I was thrust in that. I thank God that he's been holding on to me, and stuff, because what if it can happen? It can happen, and stuff. That's why I'm saying this is hard and stuff. So the moral of this story is, I'm just going to stay on for about 10 more minutes if you guys bear with me and stuff. And that's because I just want to make sure I birth out a decent segment and everything. But the moral of the story is there's so much out there, and there's there's crime, and I don't know if you've seen this stuff where it's like criminalization for loitering. These people have nothing, and it's no telling how long they've been out there to gather whatever they can, and stuff like that. So they got these shopping carts, and you see them, they're very creative, and they build the shopping carts, and they got certain stuff in there, and they got some good treasure and a lot of trash, and stuff like that. But what happens when they go into those homeless encampments and they tear it all down and take their tents and take their sleeping bags and take all their stuff, their worldly goods? So you're beating them up while they're already down. At least if you go do that, give them a pod, to move into, and stuff. You can't stay here under the freeway, and you can and stuff, but you can. I got this place for you, or something like that. And then what if they're not ready because they don't trust these people, and stuff? So it got to be a trust build. It got to be a bridge built, and stuff like that. Or they burning their side. They don't care about you. Oh no, you got food, I can steal my food. Oh, you gonna give me medical? I'll go to Highland. I'll go somewhere else. I'm gonna go where I want to go. I'm not gonna go where you tell me to go, and then y'all lock me up and put me in jail or something like that, or put me in a John George or something, and lock me up in a mental institution or something like that and stuff. You don't know what happened to me. You don't know what I saw. You don't know what led me to this, and you ain't never tried to ask me. So guess what? I'm gonna do me and stuff. I don't trust anybody and stuff like that. But there is real angels out there that's at least trying to put a dent in it. and to get that rapport with regular people that, the seditities, the ones that, we have a house, we have cars and stuff, so we must be perfect. No, and stuff, but at the same time, we recognize that we all human beings and stuff, and we recognize that, if you had it, you probably wouldn't choose to be musty, or if you had it like that, you wouldn't choose to urinate on yourself and poop on yourself, or pee on yourself and poop on yourself, and smell of reek of alcohol and throw up and all of that stuff. All of that stuff is there, and a cycle of jail, and then release with no support, and then back to jail because I had to steal to get my food. Ain't nobody giving me nothing. I'm a criminal. What am I supposed to get? And stuff. Where my girl, she wouldn't let me in, and stuff. So I got to get whatever, and stuff like that. I'm just saying, and everything. So I like to do a myth versus facts, and then a take home, and I'm out of here. Okay, you guys. I'm trying to do that in 7 minutes and stuff. And that is myth. This is the untruth. Homelessness is a choice. In fact, most are forced into homelessness by its circumstances beyond the control, job loss, eviction, or a health crisis, and they just couldn't afford the care and the upkeep. Myth or untruth: all homeless people are addicts. Fact: not all use substances. Many became homeless first and then developed the problem, meaning they lost it all, and then they start drinking, or then they start drugging, and stuff, because they was trying to cover up or cope. That's what it is. That's the key word, cope, and everything. Auntie Josie said, sometimes I give homeless food and cash and help out when I can. Absolutely. And they thank you for that. And God thanks you for that. Most of all, I thank you for it and stuff. Is exemplary and stuff. Instead of looking at, what if they said, to you and you was homeless, like, get away from me and stuff. Go get a job. Go get a job. And so you don't know what happened to them. They might have lost it all, and they was on the top, even higher than you. And that's judgment. Yeah, no, it's not good. Okay, and stuff. Good work, you guys and stuff. Homelessness only happens to other people. Shoot, I'm a nurse. I ain't worried about it. Ooh. Okay, fact: anyone can be at risk due to economic downturn, disaster, or illness. Yeah, I'm not a good nurse if I got sick and I can't work as a nurse anymore. And I'm not recovering. And yeah, it can happen to anybody. It doesn't matter. And some of the best ones, got the lowest paying job and still can budget their little money like the Dickens and still live. It's rough, but they can still live, and they manage to stay healthy enough to get it done. And some of us are right there on that cusp, and stuff like that. But never for a minute think that it can't happen to you, because then you're delusional and you have a mental health problem. Yep. And so then we have myth: giving money enables homeless. Josie, don't be giving your money out. That's an untruth. In fact, access to resources help meet immediate needs. Systemic solutions are key, meaning giving them food and letting them have the soup kitchen, and stuff to go to and stuff, and getting those good hot meals that, me for one and stuff, my family members have worked at these shelters and stuff for years and stuff. And one of my main family members was a cook for several shelters, and would cook up the same food that she would make for us at home and stuff like that. The same food she tried to put that seasoning and that gravy and all of that stuff on for these people, and stuff like that, and feed them, and stuff like that. So it is a good thing, to have that soup kitchen. They take their time out, they cut up their vegetables and all of that stuff. They do what they supposed to do and stuff like that. Sometimes their food is healthier than the rich and privileged that have a big old house and a car and a dog and a cat and whatever and stuff. So I'm saying all of that to say, hey, and stuff. But yeah, don't be afraid to give it to them. Just don't let them run up on you and stuff and knock you upside your head with it and stuff. But it ain't gonna hurt you to give a little something. God tell you, give to the poor. If you got more, you pay it forward, and stuff. It'll do something to your heart in a good way, not in a high blood pressure way and stuff, but in a good way and stuff like that. So I'm going to end with take home messages. And then I thank you guys, everybody that was able to try to hold on and stuff like that. I'm just about done in probably 2 minutes now and stuff. And these are the take home messages. I left a few things out, so I may do a part 2. Stay tuned and everything. But one is, homelessness is not just a housing issue. It is a public health crisis affecting physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. It's doing the whole thing. It's doing the whole circle of life, and it's affecting everything. So it is a public health crisis, especially if they want to knock you upside your head to get what's in your purse, and stuff like that. It's crazy and stuff. Kiki said, support is much better for the youth. Also, anyone can be homeless at any time. Nothing is solid, but survival skills. Let me see. I'm going to put it up here. But survival skills is king. That's right. And stuff, it's nothing wrong with doing what you got to do to survive. But try to make, at least better choices, like probably not selling yourself so that you come down with some type of disease you can never, ever get rid of for the rest of your life, because then that becomes a physical something to add on to your already mental health that's already challenged. And then you've got a physical problem, a disease that you can't get rid of, like a HIV or AIDS or something like that, or any of these STI, sexually transmitted infections, from doing that and everything. And then that mental health on you performing those acts and everything and stuff, and knowing that you're doing this to your body, and stuff. It can't last forever. And it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous because people are looking to knock you upside your head and kill you because they're sick too. And they're riding around the car with money and they're sick too. And they looking to destroy you, and you're already destroyed halfway, and everything. So all of that. Thank you guys for your wonderful input and everything. And I am looking them comments and stuff because I'm going back to you and stuff when it's all over with and everything. It is preventable and treatable with coordinated action, affordable housing initiatives, expanded mental health and substance abuse services, social support, and reintegration programs, giving you a leg to stand on, a trade, and stuff. Kiki said, or resources. Yes, absolute resources and stuff. This is crazy, but it's telling the truth. And then last but not least, every community member has a role. Advocacy, that means being on their side, a spokesperson, compassion, having a heart, have a heart, and everything. Have some empathy, put yourself in their shoes, be able to try to do that, and stuff. Looking it from their eyes, looking at them physically. I know you see what you see, but looking at it from their eyes, looking at it from their part and everything and stuff. And actions are necessary to break the cycle. Oh, wow. Auntie Charlene and stuff. Yes. Auntie Godmother Charlene came on. Thank you for coming on and stuff. I'm glad you was able to catch me. And go ahead. She said, love you, goddaughter. Keep up the good work. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. And always, you guys, y'all can. I'm done and stuff. Y'all can watch the replays and everything and stuff. I'm streaming live from Facebook Live under Charlene Nurse Allen. That's my Facebook name and stuff. But also on YouTube right now is streaming to YouTube at the same time. And then also look out for me. That's why I said anybody that wants to, I would love for you to guys to follow me on TikTok and everything, so I could get enough followers to start going on there and posting different things and stuff. It'll be more lackadaisical and stuff. But my podcast is my podcast. So I'm going to keep on doing this. It's every Tuesday at 7 p.m. unless there's a scheduling conflict. Like my mother, she has some medical issues and stuff that we're dealing with and stuff. So definitely, unless she has the appointment on that day and I can't make it and stuff, then I'll be on that following Tuesday with no problem, with all the bells and whistles and stuff, giving you guys this good information and everything. Godmother says, love you and love you all. We love you too. And Maria said, this was so proper, very thorough. Thank you. Real talk. You look good in yellow and gold. And Maria, who got your eyes? Ooh. Woo! We love you and your podcast. We love your podcast. Thank you so much and stuff. What I am trying to do is, like I said, I own Your Body's a Snitch, Believe It. And that's a part of all of this stuff. And I'm going to be coming out with my merchandise. I've already printed up my merchandise and stuff, but I'll be coming on and stuff sooner than later and stuff. But also, the plan is with the medical talk in layman's terms with Nurse Charlene. I'll be coming on with guest speakers. I just got a couple nurses that want to come on and speak their truth. These are experts, but also testimonials and everything. And I'm so excited. It's so many people that are interested because they're like, your body is a snitch, believe it. I even ran into some police officers at a street fair that I did. And they were looking, and I said, yeah, not y'all snitch. Your body is a snitch, meaning we got a personal snitch in our body because our body can't lie on itself. I think I might do that topic over and stuff, which is called, the topic was called Your Body is a Snitch, and explaining that and stuff that your body is a snitch meaning symptoms, any symptoms that you have. So I can't think of the quote and stuff, but I'm gonna bring it up and stuff the next time I'm on and stuff. But it's good work and stuff. Just stay tuned, you guys. I'm pushing forward. I don't care if I get one person on or I get 27 people on and stuff. You guys are gonna see the difference. That what I'm doing is, what I need you to do is help me, help you, help yourself and your loved ones. That's what I'm trying to do here and stuff, is get to the better side and everything, and help you help yourself by just giving you good, straight facts in layman's terms. But these are, make no mistake, these are research facts. I'm not going to get on here and play with you. I'm not going to get on here and tell you something else. I tell you to reach out to the medical professionals. I'm one of them and stuff. 21 years in nursing. And I'm talking about 911. After they drop them off at the hospital, that's where you see me in, and stuff like that. That I receive those people and stuff like that. So I'm not here to play. I said that I don't have an identity. I ran into a nurse and she was like, I'm an OBGYN nurse and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm med surg. And then I said, you know what? I don't have an identity because I've been everything. I've been a stroke certified nurse. I've been a oncology nurse. I've been a bariatric nurse with the gastric bypass surgeries and stuff. I've been a renal metabolic, meaning the kidney matters of the kidneys, and stuff, and dialysis and all of that stuff. I've been that kind of nurse. I've been a charge nurse. I've been patient care coordinator nurse. I've been so many things. I've been a schizophrenic nurse, meaning I don't have an identity. I don't have a set. I get in where I fit in, and everything. I've been a hospice nurse. I've been a orthopedic nurse. I've been, you name it. I'll say check, check, check. What I haven't been is a scary nurse. So I mess around and find out and stuff. I can tell you stories that'll make you cringe, but just remember, at the end of the day, my heart is telling me that this needs to be done. The doctors are getting excited. The other nurses are getting excited. But they said, Charlene, put your face out there. I'm cool, but I'll give you some information. And I'm like, no, you got to get on with me, and stuff. I'll take the hit, but you got to get on with me and everything. So I'm gonna be letting different guests that I know of speak their truth on here, and stuff. I have a young lady and stuff. She might not be watching and stuff tonight, but I have a young lady that has a foundation and stuff, a Mother's Cry Foundation, about people who lose their children abruptly to murder and mayhem, and that fact and stuff. And she's doing a lot of great things and stuff. And I want to, finally get her on here and stuff so that she can speak her truth and tell about her thing. I'm here to uplift other people. I'm not here to tear down or mine, and stuff like that. I'm here to do greater things. And you guys are going to see it. You're witnessing something that's way bigger than what I am, just me and stuff. And I'm going to get it out there one way or another and stuff. So I thank you guys for sticking around and loving on me and participating, because like I said, hype her up, that hype me up, and stuff. But there's a lot in here, and God was nice enough to allow me to have all of this in here and stuff. And one more quick story about that is I look back on my time, because remember, nobody's perfect. That's why I said everybody can get it and stuff, but I got to get this out. And that is, I was a teen mother, high school dropout. I only finished the 11th grade. Teen mom at 18. Instead of, like I said, I did this kind of speech before, but I said, instead of finishing high school, I was giving birth. I was in my 3rd trimester delivering my son, whose birthday was yesterday. He's 35 years old and I'm 21. And that's all I'll say about that. But anyway, the long story short about that is I have 2 children and everything, and single mom, raising my kids, put myself, back through school, not by myself. It takes a village, but I put myself, went ahead and said, I deserve a chance and stuff, and did this. And 4 degrees later, and of course, a GED, 4 degrees later, and 21 years of nursing and 31 years in healthcare, 32 years, I'm sorry, in healthcare, shows that I'm probably a healthcare professional. I'll just say that. If you needed anything else, it's registered nursing for 21, but I've been a certified phlebotomist, a medical assistant, a certified nurse's assistant, a medical office manager, just to name a few. And then in nursing, I told you, a charge nurse, a bariatric nurse, an orthopedic nurse, oncology nurse, and everything else. So did I mess around and find out that I probably got a little something up there that I need to give to you? That's what I'm doing. I'm giving my gift to you, and I'm paying it forward. But once you're in the know, now you're responsible to take care of your family by what you learn from me and everything. But I am the healthcare professional. Make no mistake and everything. I love you guys. Y'all take care. Oh my God, and stuff. We getting it together and stuff. So definitely thank you all that stayed on and hung in there with me and stuff like that. I appreciate you. I'm humbled by you. I love the interaction. It does really hype me up, and it helps me to help you help yourself and your loved one. And definitely, let's keep on going. I want to read one more about my godmother. She said from her godmother, when I had a cold, my body was vanilla. What you say? Oh, my body. Okay, let me find out. My When I had a cold, my body wants vanilla ice cream and barbecue. And when I had the flu, my ankle and my wrist ache and am slow. I am here. I hear my body. Absolutely. Because guess why? Your body's a snitch. You better believe it. And guess what? Snitch means symptoms in medical talk and everything. And so guess what a symptom is? Just quickly. A symptom is a headache. A symptom is a backache. A symptom is getting dizzy. A symptom is blurry eyes. A symptom is no taste buds. A symptom is an earache. A symptom is numbness and tingling in your fingers. A symptom is a fever. You see where I'm going with this, right? Your body is a snitch. It's your own personal snitch, and it starts from the day you come out the womb. That is your body is snitching on you. Your body is telling on you. For a baby, they can't talk and say, I got colic, I got gas, or something like that. So what do? Wham! That's a symptom that something is wrong. No appetite, that is a symptom. Find out why and stop playing. So, well, I guess I bet y'all smoke me some weed and I'll get me an appetite back. Yeah, find out why you don't have an appetite. It might be something wrong. And make no mistake, I'm telling you, I'll be coming back with the testimony and stuff, how we caught my mother's cancer at a stage 1-2. She's at a stage 1-2. How we caught it. Because she had the nerve and the wherewithal to see that her daughter kept on saying, your body is a snitch, your body is a snitch, not knowing that I was going to have to find out. It ain't no joke. It's no joke. I'm just saying, and stuff. This is serious. Life keep life and even on me. But guess what she did? Through the hospital, 20-some days in the hospital and all this stuff and all the things. 4 rounds of chemo. Yes. 4 rounds of chemo. At the end of the day, if she didn't snitch, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But even through all of that, Charlene, get on your podcast. Charlene, go get on your podcast. She's that unstingy that even though I'm her personal nurse, and I thank God for giving me the wherewithal, Charlene, go get on your podcast. Charlene, go get on your podcast. If you don't know, that's God. But anyway, my dad one more time, and then I'm getting on off and stuff. Good, what'd you say? Good session? Good session, daughter. Have a good night. And you too, Dad. Thank you so much. And Maria said, no appetite. And she also said, next Tuesday, hype her up. Yes, next Tuesday, hype me up. I only went a little bit above the time and stuff. Usually I try to do about an hour and 10 minutes and stuff. But I went over because we just got to know that homelessness can hit anybody at any time. So be careful. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready, because this is some real stuff happening. And make no mistake, it can be you. It can be you and stuff. So hype me up, y'all, because then that's when you get the best of me. All right, y'all take care. And I send my love once again to everybody and stuff. watch these replays. I'm on all different, I'm just working behind the scenes, getting on all the different platforms so I can give you the good stuff. Medical talk in layman's terms with Nurse Charlene. Thank you. Have a good evening, you guys. Go get something to eat and go to bed.